On the morning of the 3rd of May, 22, 7-year-old Alexis Patterson from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, was upset that she couldn't take cupcakes to school as a class treat because she hadn't finished her homework the evening before. Her stepfather, Laren Bourgeois, said that he and Alexis had walked half a block from their home to Highmount Community School. After that, Alexis crossed the road towards the school. He said he watched a crossing guard take Alexis the rest of the way, and then he himself turned around and walked back home. This was the last time he ever saw Alexis. This is Human Wreckage, where we explore the untold stories behind headlines and the human impact of tragedy. Today, we begin with a child, a bright, bubbly little girl with a radiant smile and her whole life ahead of her. Her name is Alexis Patterson. On the morning of May 3rd, 2002, 7-year-old Alexis left her Milwaukee home, backpack in hand, walking the short distance to Highmount Community School. She was excited about the day ahead. Her stepfather had even packed her a treat for lunch. It was a normal morning in every way, until Alexis didn't come home. What followed was one of the largest missing child investigations in Wisconsin's history. Family, neighbors, police, and volunteers combed the neighborhood, posted flyers, and searched relentlessly. But Alexis had vanished without a trace. Her pink glasses, her ponytails, the shoes she wore that day, all burned into memory, but never seen again. Her disappearance sent shockwaves through Milwaukee and sparked national attention. But as the years passed and Leeds grew cold, so did public awareness. For many, Alexis became another face on a missing persons poster. But for her family, she never stopped being their daughter, their sister, their world. In this episode, we retrace Alexis's final known steps, explore the early investigation, and examine the heartbreaking questions that still remain. How does a child simply vanish on her way to school? What was missed? What do we still not know? It's been over 2 decades since Alexis Patterson disappeared, but her case remains open, unresolved, and deeply felt. And in the silence left behind, one message rings clear. Someone, somewhere, knows what happened. Let's get into it. When Alexis didn't come home from school, her mother, Alexis Patterson, called the police. While some of Alexis' classmates said that they had seen her in the school grounds that morning, other classmates and her teachers said that she hadn't been in attendance, meaning Alexis most likely vanished before entering the school. Following her disappearance, the Milwaukee Police Department and Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office embarked on one of the largest joint efforts in their history. Searchers trudged through woodland, and they searched on boat, motorcycle, and horseback. The Milwaukee County Sheriff's Department helicopter was also deployed to assist in the search. Missing person posters with Alexis' smiling face emblazoned on the front were distributed throughout the city. She was described as being 4 feet tall, 43 pounds, and with light brown skin. On the morning she vanished, she was wearing 2 French braids in the front and a ponytail in the back. She was wearing a red and gray hooded jacket, light jeans, a purple shirt, and white tennis shoes. Alexis' family created laminated badges bearing Alexis' picture, contact information, and the question, "Have you seen my baby?" They canvassed the streets, handing out flyers and searching, but to no avail. Police Chief Arthur Jones speculated early on in the investigation that Alexis had run away after the argument over cupcakes. Ayanna and Laren made tearful pleas for her return and held on to the hope that she was only missing. "We're doing terribly. If someone has her, please just return her. Just let her out on the corner. Someone will see her," pleaded Laren. Ayanna said that if Alexis did run away, she wouldn't have gone off with a stranger. Milwaukee public school officials came under criticism for not contacting Alexis' family as soon as it was discovered that Alexis was not in class. "It makes me angry, this being a neighborhood school and all, that they just wouldn't send somebody a half a block over here to knock on the door and check on Lexi," said Lena Ramirez, whose daughter was Alexis' half-sister. According to the school, they followed correct protocol, which was to notify a parent or guardian by the end of a second day if a child is missing from school. Their policy was staunchly defended by Superintendent Spence Court, who said that there are enough absences in Milwaukee schools each day. As is protocol in missing children cases, both Ayanna and Laren were brought in for questioning. Laren was extensively questioned in regards to the disappearance. He had a criminal record which included involvement in a 1994 bank robbery, which resulted in Glendale police officer Ronald Hedbeny being shot dead. Laren, who was the getaway driver, was granted immunity from prosecution in exchange for his testimony against Brooke Teleguero's ship Roman III, who was convicted and sentenced to life in prison. Alexis' disappearance was featured on America's Most Wanted, and it led to a flurry of tips and reported sightings. Sadly, however, none of these leads ever panned out. Meanwhile, police announced that Alexis' disappearance had entered a criminal investigation phase, indicating that it was now believed that Alexis had met foul play as opposed to running off. It's not normal for any child to willingly be away from her parents this long. We're going to look at this so that someone might have this child and she might not be free to go, said Police Chief Leslie Barber. Towards the end of the month, a $10,000 reward was offered for information that could lead to the whereabouts of Alexis, but to no avail. As the weeks turned to months, the leads and tips dried up. Then in late August, there was an anonymous tip to a television station from somebody who said that Alexis was in the Milwaukee River. However, despite an extensive and exhaustive search, there was no sign of Alexis. In early September, Police Chief Arthur Jones announced that it was very unlikely that they would ever find Alexis alive. It's frustrating because at some point in your heart and mind, you still hope against hope that she's still alive, that someone is caring for her. But experience says that's probably not the case, he said. There had been national coverage of the disappearances of several missing white girls in other states. Family and friends said that Alexis received little national coverage because she is African American. This was something that Police Chief Arthur Jones agreed with. There's no question in my mind that there's a media racial bias. It certainly is true here in Milwaukee, at every level from the electronic media to the print media, he said. Shortly thereafter, a volunteer group formed shortly after Alexis' disappearance disbanded due to lack of funds. The founder, Keith Martin, said that the community were no longer interested in Alexis' disappearance. In fact, when he sponsored a rummage sale, only 4 people showed up. I guess the attitude out there is, it didn't happen to me, so I'm going to leave it alone. It's just sad, he said. In April of 2023, Laren was arrested and charged with beating Ayanna and threatening to kill her. According to Ayanna, Laren had not been supportive since her daughter's disappearance and became controlling and abusive. The week before his arrest, Ayanna told him that a detective was coming to their home to talk about Alexis, and he reportedly responded, "What the fuck does he want? I don't give a fuck about him." The arrest warrant also said that Ayanna accused Laren of selling drugs and pimping out women. Over the forthcoming years, age progression images showing what Alexis may look like as she grew into a young woman were issued. In 2016, police thought they cracked the case when a man came forward to say the age progression images looked eerily like his ex-wife, who he said had a very murky past. However, DNA testing ruled her out. Each year, Ayanna holds a birthday party for her absent daughter. She says that until there is evidence to prove that she is dead, she will live under the assumption that her daughter is alive and well. More than 20 years have passed since Alexis Patterson disappeared, and yet her absence is still a constant presence in the lives of those who loved her. Her mother still clings to hope, her community still feels the weight of unanswered questions, and her name remains etched in the heart of Milwaukee. There were searches, suspects, and even false leads over the years. Sightings were reported, theories emerged, and possibilities explored, but none have brought Alexis home. Her case remains open, unsolved, and achingly unresolved. What happened to Alexis on that May morning in 22? Did someone lure her away? Did she trust the wrong person? Or was there something more complex at play, something still buried beneath silence and fear? We may never know all the answers, but what we can do is remember, keep her story alive. Keep asking the hard questions, because children don't just vanish and someone somewhere knows the truth. If you know anything about the disappearance of Alexis Patterson, no matter how small it may seem, please contact the Milwaukee Police Department. Even the smallest detail could be the missing piece. Thank you for listening to Human Wreckage. We tell these stories so that they aren't forgotten, because every child deserves to come home. Till next time, take care of yourselves.